without objection.
Madam President, news of the Qatari government gifting Donald Trump a $400 million private jet to use as Air Force One is so corrupt that even Putin would give a double take.
A foreign government gifting Donald Trump a $400 million jet isn't a perk. It's a national security alarm. And when Senator Schumer reveals that AG Pam Bondi personally signed off on it, this stops being politics, it becomes a constitutional emergency.
This is not just naked corruption, it is also a grave national security threat. So in light of the deeply troubling news of a possible Qatari-funded Air Force One and the reports that the Attorney General personally signed off on this clearly unethical deal, I am announcing a hold on all DOJ political nominees until we get more answers. Here are some questions that must be answered. First, I call on the DOJ's Foreign Agent Registration Act Unit, or the FARA unit, to do its job and disclose all activities by Qatari foreign agents inside the U.S. that could benefit President Trump or the Trump Organization. Since Attorney General Bondi took charge, the Department of Justice has not been doing its job when it comes to FARA. The FARA unit needs to enforce the law and inform the public of all activities, not just on this luxury plane deal, but all deals involving foreign countries in the Middle East and President Trump, his family, and the Trump Organization. Second, with regard to this $500 million private jet deal, the American people deserve to know the facts. President Trump has told the American people this is, quote, a free jet. Does that mean the Qataris are delivering a ready on day one plane with all the security measures already built in? If so, who installed those security measures? And how do we know they were properly installed? Why would we take the risk of trusting any foreign country to do this sensitive work? If not, what security modifications would be needed to ensure a foreign-sourced Air Force One is safe to use? If this is, as President Trump promised, a free jet, will the Qataris pay for those highly sensitive installations, or will American taxpayers cover the cost? How much will those modifications cost American taxpayers? Hundreds of billions of dollars? Hundreds of millions of dollars? Billions of dollars? How much will they cost? If the American taxpayers are forced to pay for this temporary plane, does it mean the U.S. government will cancel the contract for the future Boeing plane? If so, how much will that cancellation cost? And if not, why are American taxpayers being asked to spend hundreds of millions of dollars or more on a plane that will only be used for a year or two? Additionally, who in the Trump administration was responsible for this crooked deal? What are the parameters of this deal? And which country brought it up first, us or them? What is Qatar being offered in return? Considering past security disasters, such as the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, what are the security risks of this arrangement? And finally, how is this gift not naked corruption? The Attorney General must testify before both the House and Senate to explain why gifting Donald Trump a private jet does not violate the Emoluments Clause, which requires congressional approval, or any ethics law. So, until the Attorney General explains her blatantly inept decision, and we get complete and comprehensive to these and other questions, I will place a hold on all political nominees to the Department of Justice.
What you just heard from Senator Chuck Schumer isn't normal political rhetoric. This is one of the clearest, sharpest alarms a Senate leader can legally sound, and you feel it in his tone. This isn't outrage for the cameras. It's the kind of outrage that comes from witnessing something that crosses not just ethical lines, but constitutional ones. Something touching the presidency, the Department of Justice, and national security all at once. Let's break down why Schumer's words matter. This moment is bigger than a soundbite. It represents a crisis of governance, a threat to the very principles of democracy. Schumer is reacting to one of the most stunning allegations in modern American politics, that the government of Qatar gifted Donald Trump a $400 million luxury 747 to serve as a temporary Air Force One. Hearing Schumer say it, you sense disbelief, not doubt, but shock that the country could arrive at a point where this is possible. Foreign governments always try to curry favor. But gifting a former president the equivalent of a flying palace with massive security implications isn't diplomacy, it's leverage. In any other country, we would call it corruption designed to gain access, favors, or power. Schumer calls it not only unethical but a national security threat. Air Force One isn't a toy, it's a flying command center. It's layered with secure communications, defensive systems, classified technology, and countermeasures the public doesn't even know about. So Schumer asks the critical questions: if Qatar gifted this aircraft, who installed the security systems? Who integrated communications? Who touched the wiring? Who built the shell? Who embedded the systems Trump bragged about? You cannot outsource the safety of a U.S. president to a foreign government. Not Qatar, not any country, not ever. That's why Schumer's tone sharpens. Giving a foreign nation access to these systems is the equivalent of handing over the blueprints to your panic room and letting them build the door. Then comes the bombshell. Reports say Attorney General Pam Bondi personally signed off on the deal. That's enormous. It raises emoluments clause questions, ethics questions, and foreign influence questions. That is why Schumer announced a hold on every DOJ political nominee, a powerful move, the strongest procedural tool he has without issuing subpoenas. He demands answers from DOJ's own FAR unit because under Bondi's leadership, the department appears to have stopped enforcing laws on foreign influence, shielding the White House from scrutiny. Schumer lists the unanswered questions like a prosecutor building a case: who initiated the jet deal? Which country approached whom? Who benefits? What does Qatar gain? Are American taxpayers secretly covering modifications? Is this even a gift or a political transaction dressed as generosity? The emoluments clause exists to prevent exactly this: foreign powers buying influence over American decisions. And he asks the most important question: how is this gift not naked corruption? This isn't an oversight or paperwork error. It's so obvious that, as Schumer jokes, even Putin would do a double take. Beneath the humor is a stark truth: arrangements like this erode democracy from the outside in and from the top down. Schumer isn't warning about a plane, he's warning about a government where foreign gifts replace American accountability, where the Attorney General's signature becomes a rubber stamp, and ethics laws are treated as inconvenient suggestions instead of guardrails. That's why he ends with action, holding every DOJ nominee until Congress gets clarity. The integrity of the Department of Justice is not optional. It is the backbone of everything else. If this breakdown helped you understand the stakes, the constitutional stakes, the national security stakes, and the foreign influence stakes, like this video, subscribe, and comment which part of this controversy shocked you most. This isn't just a story about a jet. It's a story about whether American institutions still have the strength to hold the line. More coverage is coming soon. What you just heard from Senator Chuck Schumer isn't normal political rhetoric. He's sounding a clear alarm over something crossing ethical and constitutional lines, touching the presidency, the DOJ, and national security. Reports say Qatar gifted Donald Trump a $400 million luxury jet, and AG Pam Bondi personally signed off. Schumer calls this a national security threat, asking who touched the wiring, integrated the systems, and built the shell. This isn't diplomacy, it's leverage, corruption, and foreign influence. That's why he's holding every DOJ nominee until Congress gets answers. This isn't just about a jet, it's about protecting American institutions.